Taught about the parable of the prodigal son in Luke chapter 15. The son comes back to his father. The father welcomes him with open arms and has a celebration. Nobody has to die for somebody to be forgiven. Because if somebody dies, then there is no forgiveness. You know, that means I just took my full price. I'm a cruel judge. I just exact the full punishment. Somebody goes and dies, and then I'm happy. But if God was loving and kind, He should be loving and kind to His son as well and save His son by some other means. And Jay said the son was willing, but notice that's the representation in the last of the four Gospels. But Matthew, Mark, and Luke show that the son was, although willing, he was submitting, but not offering himself. In the Gospel according to John, the story is revised so that Jesus actually offers himself, because that just looks better. But even if the son offers himself, it doesn't really solve the problem, because if the son loves the people so much that he wants to die for them, doesn't the father love the people more than the son loves, or equal to? Why doesn't the father come himself? You know, I don't shove my son in the path of a moving car to go and save somebody. I go myself and I protect my son. So the whole thing makes no sense.
Shabir, let me...
May I just say something on that?
Yes.
I think it's very simple why he didn't come himself. He did come himself, and that's one of the mysteries of the Trinity. But you have to ask us, why is it that Jesus Christ had to come? The reason why is because you say somebody cannot take on someone else's sin. It depends on who sinned against. See, every time I sin, even if I take that pen from you or that watch from you, and I give it back to you, and I ask forgiveness for you, has that not impinged upon God? Yes, every sin impinges upon God. Even eating of a simple fruit impinges upon God. Therefore, he who was sinned against, it is he who took on that sin against, who took on the punishment of that sin. There is the enormity of what we see in the cross. There is the enormity of what we have seen by Jesus Christ coming down as the Godhead, taking on the sin, though he was the one who was sinned against. Now that Islam does not answer.
Because what you're saying is that if you sin against me, I cannot forgive you until I punish myself. It doesn't make any sense. If I want to forgive you, I just simply forgive you.
What you're failing to understand is that every sin that we do not only has a horizontal consequence, it also has a vertical consequence. No, Muslims don't understand that because they don't understand the relationship that is there between God and man.
When you say God came down himself and died, then he died on the cross, so that means God died. It's just getting worse every time you go.
He certainly did. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
If you said the son died, then at least you have the father to look after the world.
But we have no problem. It was God that died on the cross. Why do you have a problem with that?
Because if God died, that's blasphemy. Then who would run the world?
Who would run the world?
This is all. Who died on the cross, Jesus or God? And where is the great sacrifice?
Okay.
Can you answer
this
that?
is another problem with the Trinity again. You can see Muslims have a real difficult time understanding that when Jesus came down as a man, it was Jesus the man who died on the cross. Jesus still had his divine personage. Jesus still has divine entity. Therefore, his divine entity still existed. That's not a problem. But where was Jesus, or where was God while Jesus was dying? God was still there, and because of the fact that he is part of the Trinity, so he therefore the sin who was sinned against was still God who was sinned against. That was then taken on. The punishment was then taken on by him. So therefore, the two stand together. Jesus, who was the man, and Jesus, who was God. It was Jesus, the man, that did sin, that did die on the cross. But being God and being the fact that he had that divine character, therefore that was taken care of. That sin was then taken care of on that context.
Is it fair to say there's some mystery to that?
That doesn't seem such a mystery to me.
Okay.
I started out actually in high school. I was a born-again Christian. I accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior, as we used to say, and I became very committed as an evangelical Christian, and I went off to Moody Bible Institute for college, which is a fundamentalist Bible college. After that, I went to Wheaton College, which is a liberal arts college. It's Billy Graham's alma mater. It's an evangelical school. So I had very solid evangelical Christian commitments. And eventually, I got a seminary degree, and I was a pastor of a Baptist church for a year. But gradually, for a large number of reasons, I started to question some of the assumptions that I had about the faith. For a long time, I thought that the Bible was inspired and inerrant, that there were no mistakes in the Bible. But as I engaged in historical research on the Bible, as I was getting my PhD in New Testament studies at Princeton Theological Seminary, I started finding mistakes in the Bible. And this cut away at my assumptions that the Bible was inerrant. And then I started questioning other parts of my faith. Is Jesus really divine? Is there really a Trinity?